week, I feel so mellow. If you know me, you know that is not my angle. I'm usually really hyped and loud, but when I hear our song here on your pals, that stands for Professionals and Animal Lovers Show, I actually feel my blood pressure go down. I feel mellowed out. I should listen to that music every night to go to sleep. It would chill me out. But this is a happy space. This is a little bit of zen in sometimes a chaotic world. This is your Professionals and Animal Lovers Show, and I am your nonprofit sector connector. And that other person who hosts this show with me, her name is Val. So I call her my pal Val. And then Johnna Devereaux is here. We're going to introduce Johnna. And I think Jovi the dog is here. Shout out to Jovi. What up, dog? How you doing, kid?
Hi, everybody.
I knew she was going to do a funny voice. We didn't even prepare that.
That is our Jovi voice. Like, even Harry does that. He goes up really high and he'll like pretend he's, Jovi's talking, and it's kind of like a thing that we do. We personify him with a human high pitched voice.
Wouldn't it be funny though if like his real voice, like in his head, he's like, dude, I talk like this and you keep giving me that high pitched voice. Like if he's like a kind of like a badass, I said a bad word, but like a tough dude, and you're giving him like.
No, he's not. Right now he's like, Mom, let me guess so I can go chase the cats.
That's too funny. All right, couple of quick things I got to get out of the way. So some people might want to know, Moisha, the elf, the mensch on the bench is there, and next to him is the elf on the shelf. The elf on the shelf has a name now. If you want to know, I'll tell you. But that other noise you hear, that's the Long Island Railroad. Shout out to the railroad. Choo choo. Always, every time. That's the 202. So if you want to know, you can ask me, Val. I'll tell you the name of the elf. If you don't want to know, we'll just keep people in suspense until next year.
I have to know what's the name of the elf on the shelf in your house.
Johnna, do you want to know?
I absolutely want to know.
Ricky Tiki Tembo, No Sar Rembo, Cherry Berry Richie, Pip Perry Pembo. If you know the book or you don't know the book, you should know the book because it's a classic. You know the story?
Chitty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty.
No, Ricky Tiki Tembo, No Sar Rembo, he fell into the well and his brother had to go tell the mother that he fell into the well and on. And it takes like 5 minutes for him. He just has to say, my brother fell in the well. But every time he tries to tell the mother, he has to say, Ricky Tiki Tembo, No Sar Rembo, Cherry Berry Richie, Pip Perry Pembo has fallen into the well. The poor little child almost died because of that.
Wow.
So anyway, that's why
that's the mom's fault for that name.
It's someone's fault. I don't know, but that is his name now. And now, as I understand, my son told me once you name him, now they float around. So I will not stay up in the attic at night because that makes me nervous. All right, listen, enough silliness, Tommy D. If there's such a thing you can actually do, let's be serious. So this show was really founded on the idea that pet lovers, animal lovers, pet professionals, people in the industry, people who are business people who love animals, really want to help and support others who love animals. And there's this really kindred spirit and connection amongst this kind of tribe where people who know other folks who look out for animals, there's just this innate connection between these people. So it's almost as deep as the love and connection between a pet lover or a pet owner and their pet. Jovi's here. And I was wondering, I'll ask you another time, Val, but I wonder, Elliot, the bearded dragon, which I'm really considering a bearded dragon, but the bearded dragon, I wonder what his voice sounds like. You don't have to tell me. You can tell me another time if he even has a voice, like a personal voice. Does he?
It's kind of a dumb voice. I mean, I shouldn't say it like that. I should say goofy. It's kind of a goofy voice. He doesn't really move. He just hangs out. And so he'll be like in his hammock. And if we're going to imitate him, it's just like, hello. It's just
he sounds lazy because he's kind of lazy, just kind of
very lazy, very chill, very,
Actually, you know what? I could party with him. He's my kind of dude, man.
He's always on vacation.
Yeah,
I have to just mention what just happened today, because this is a case in point example of what we're looking to accomplish, right? By bringing together animal lovers, highlighting people in all walks of business. You don't have to be a pet professional to come onto the show. Of course, we welcome pet professionals too. But, a couple of weeks ago, we had John, the pet painter, as our guest. And he was on last week as well as a featured guest, but he donates a percentage of his commissions back to animal rescues. And today he just sent us a great email, and he basically was asking us for a rescue to recommend to him to support with his latest commissions. So we very happily and enthusiastically connected him with, Regina from Camp Happy Tales, who was our first guest and runs a foster-based rescue at her house. So that was so exciting to me. I almost feel like mission accomplished, we out the year with, it's like a victory, because we're finding ways to support one another in business and in animal causes. So
Hey, listen, you know what? I dig it as a connector. That's my whole world. So when I was able to send that text message to you and Regina and John Dingley, an hour and a half ago, I was psyched, man, because we're literally impacting change. So that's really special. And that's what the show is all about. So I'm glad you spoke on that and explained that, because it is super important. That's what we're here to do, is create community. And how do you find us? You can find us on when you want to watch the show, you go to Facebook, Talking Alternative Broadcasting. And then you can also, we'll be on all the podcast platforms after. But when you come to Facebook, you get the video and the audio. It's like a show. It's very fun to watch. I watch us all the time. Even I'm watching us right now, to be honest with you. So that's a whole nother thing. All right. So look, let's get out of the way without further ado. This is actually our last show of the year. We will be back that first week of January. And if I'm not mistaken, and I will tell you the exact date when we'll be back, it'll be the 5th of January. In fact, the day before my birthday, we'll be back on January 5th. So we'll take a couple weeks off here at PALS, but also talkradio.nyc will be on a break. So without further ado, Johnna, I'm going to read some information about you, a little bit of a background, but I'd just like to welcome you to the show. And really how you got here was through networking, through connections. If I'm not mistaken, Val, our executive producer, Sam Leibowitz, made a connection, which led to another connection. And that's how these things happen. Talk about networking, talk about connecting. That's how it all gets here. So shout out to Sam, who is our producer, who's on the other side taking care of biz for us right now. Sam, thanks for making the connection. And Johnna, thank you for being here. Welcome. And I'm going to read some background, but just, do you have anything you want to jump off with before I even tell everybody who you are?
First of all, thank you. Yeah, I love what you guys are doing. And I'm just glad to be a part of it and to join you today. So thank you.
Very cool.
Awesome. And don't go too bad. Don't go too far into that bio. I'm not.
I won't. It's quick. We kind of condensed some stuff. I know how bios go.
Okay.
I want to hear your story. I don't want to tell your story for sure, So, all right. So real quick, I will say, Valerie will be bringing you home. I do have to sneak away to tend to a family matter this afternoon. All good. No worries. But I do have to slip away right at midway in the show. But Valerie will take you home. No worries. I just want to let you know so you're not going, where Tommy D go? So, all right. So Johnna Devereaux is a clinical pet nutritionist. She has been a small business owner for over a decade, and she's the founder of Fetch RI for Rhode Island, a holistic pet boutique and supplies retail store. As a clinical pet nutritionist, she has been invited to speak at veterinary hospitals on the benefits of proper nutrition for dogs and cats. So it's not just the stuff you get in a can or a bag, gang. There's absolutely, these are living, breathing beings. We should take care of them. I don't know about smoothies. We'll see. Johnna will tell us if smoothies are appropriate. Excuse me. Her writings can be found in Animal Print Magazine, Rhode Island's Family Guide, and the 2019 Health and Wellness Guide for Southern New England. She is featured as a trailblazer in the pet industry by Pets Plus Magazine, and her store, Fetch RI, has been awarded Best of Rhode Island by Editor's Pick and Reader's Choice, and it's also been awarded Top Dog, Val. That's an award we should give out. Top Dog by Animal Print Magazine. And just super excited to have you here. Super excited to learn from you. I am going to get out of the way. We want to hear your story. I will tell you this, gang. If you're watching on Facebook, I will share the website for Fetch RI. I'll share it on the Facebook when we go to break. But Johnna, take it away. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So everything you just said, obviously, but first and foremost, I'm a dog mom. Having my dogs have been the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm sorry, I'm a little sad. I told Val earlier, I lost my boy recently, who was he was the catalyst for what I'm doing. His name was Diego. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, but it's my story, and I can't not tell my story without talking about the most amazing boy that ever walked this
Yeah.
earth, as far as I'm concerned. Diego, I was volunteering at the NK Animal Shelter in Rhode Island. I met him when his mother that was abandoned, we picked up, and she gave birth. I met him when he was 3 days old. And it was an instant bond. And I never looked back when I got him home, because, you know, at the animal shelter, he had to be there until it was the appropriate time. So I got him at 8 weeks old, you know, and I didn't know anything really about canine nutrition. I've been an herbalist for 20 plus years. So I knew a bit about, you know, just natural health through plant medicine. But Diego had a lot of issues. He was at the vet almost every month with an ear infection or hives or rashes. And, you know, he was my first adult dog. And I didn't want to, I guess it's kind of similar to people that have their first baby, right? Because he was my baby. And so they have a temperature and you're like panic, right? Because it's like, what do I do? So I spent a lot of time at the vets. And then I realized that about 7 months old, like the bell went off in my head. This isn't right. This something, I switched food a million times. I did everything the vet said, and he wasn't getting any better. If anything, he was getting worse. And so that herbalist part of my brain kind of just jumped in and said, Johnna, plants are medicine, food is medicine. What are you doing? Just stop, breathe, and let's go back. And, you know, we're going back now almost 11 years. And I love books. I'm a book nerd. So I went to the library and I got books and I just started devouring information. And what I realized was that I didn't know enough. I wanted to know everything that I could possibly know about canine nutrition. And so I kind of started taking classes. And let me just tell you, I started making Diego's food right away when he was 8 months old. Again, if I knew then what I knew now, right? Because there's a journey and I know so much more now. But within 2 weeks of him eating a home cooked diet, all of his problems disappeared. And that
So let
was
me
like
just,
mind
yeah,
blowing to me.
food is absolutely medicine. And we've been making our own dog food now for, I'm going to go with about 5 years, maybe a little longer.
Yep.
But in my little journey with my little dog, you know, and with the best of intentions, I had a similar experience. We went to one vet, then another, and we followed their directions, but it wasn't working. He had hot spots. He was getting diarrhea, and actually really scary to me, diarrhea. I did not know it was like a projectile situation. Thank God I wasn't standing behind it, but I didn't know that could even like happen with a dog. But anyway, the point is that everybody with good intentions said, boil a chicken, give him chicken, rice, and then eventually someone else said, use pumpkin. Pumpkin's going to help bind and all of that. And now my dog was suffering. Like in the middle of the night, we would wake up because he was licking his paws and licking and licking and licking and scratching and scratching. And as it turned out, fast forward when we finally found the right vet, he's allergic to chicken, to rice, and to pumpkin. I felt like the worst.
Oh my God. So he did, oh God.
Making it worse. And the guilt, let me tell you, it's extreme guilt, you know, so I wish I knew someone like you during that time, because, you know, I never even heard of a pet nutritionist back then, you know?
Yeah. I mean, thankfully we're becoming more common these days, which I think is really important. You know, if you think about the human medical world, general practitioners will send you to a nutritionist, and it's about time that in the animal world that start doing the same thing. So I have a lot of my clients come through veterinary offices, because the veterinarians are realizing now that nutrition is so much more than they ever were taught in school, and that they can't really devote the time necessary to help someone through that journey.
Right.
So I'm just really lucky and thankful that I can help dogs first and then their pet parents.
I have so many questions. I know we have to go to break, so I'll try to reserve.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to go to a break, but I'm totally jazzed, and I have a million questions too. So we're gonna have to have you come back or do a one-on-one, because
Yeah.
I've had my own health journeys and whatnot in my family, and I think it's important to think, as Valerie said a couple times here, food is medicine, medicine is food. I forget who said it, but let that food be medicine, let that medicine be food, right? I'm sure Mick Collins, if he's listening, is going to answer my questions, because it seems like I ask a question on the show and Mick answers it by the next segment. But all right, so let's be right back. This is Professionals and Animal Lovers Show. Going to break. I'm going to share with you the website for Fetch RI, which looks like a house. Is it your house? Or is it a house?
No, it's actually it's a house built in 1904, but it used to be the house from Heinz Grotsky, who was one of the amazing herbalists. So it just was
Oh wow, what a
kismet
trip.
that my
How
store
perfect.
ended
Yeah,
up being
kismet.
there. Yeah.
Right on, kismet, right on. All right, awesome. I'll show that. You tell us more about that when we come back. This is the Professionals and Animal Lovers Show. We'll be right back.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business, or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant. And on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you on edge? Hey, we live in challenging, edgy times, so let's lean in. I'm Sandra Bargman, the host of The Edge of Every Day, which airs each Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc. Tune in live with me and my friends and colleagues as we share stories and perspectives about pushing boundaries and exploring our rough edges. That's The Edge of Every Day on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
So I started this new thing. This is PALShow, Professionals and Animal Lover Show, but I started this new thing that I share the Facebook page, and then I kind of hang there when we come back. And I think it's kind of fun because we could talk through some of the stuff. I noticed I found that you have products here that you're endorsing, meaning you've done the work, you've done the homework, I guess, Johnna, on the health or either the requirements or the healthiness, if that's a word, of the food that's on your site. So I guess that helps people that don't have to maybe do the work themselves. You're helping them navigate through this journey. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, one of the great things about my store and what my customers know and what they learn and what goes through word of mouth is that I won't bring anything into my store that I personally won't give to my dogs. I've done my due diligence on all of them. I will not carry products that have certain ingredients in the formulations, and that may upset certain people, but it's my store, and I will not play any part
I love that.
making your dog sick. So
I love
that's
that.
how that goes.
When I and this show and my other show, when I say I'm going to have somebody on my show, I go, and it's my show, and we can do whatever we want because it's my show. And it's like, and then I don't know if you guys are South Park fans, but Eric Cartman was whatever, I do what I want. So I feel like that, like a 9-year-old boy acting that way. But the point is, when it's your deal, you get to do that. And speaking of your deal, if people are listening and not watching, the website is Fetch, FETCHRI.com. I will put it in the chat on Facebook as well. But I just wanted to make a point so people are going, where is this information, Tommy? And then they don't have it. But now you do. So please tell us more about that. I know Valerie has a handful of questions for you because I know Valerie a little bit, and she has a lot of questions.
There's just like 5 million questions.
Yeah, that's okay. So I just consider VetRI to be my curated store, basically, where I have done all the research. And when people come to me, they can trust that whatever they're buying in the store is going to be safe for their dog to consume or their cat to consume, because we also help cats as well. So,
all right, I have to just ask, like, if you want, we could do it like one at a time, or I can go rapid gunfire and you can pick and choose what you want to answer. But so
whatever you prefer.
okay, first question I have is, are you is part of how you look at things? I know there's like Eastern medicine and Western, right? Western, Eastern, right? The vet that we went to, interestingly, he's a holistic vet. He has the medical side to his profession, absolutely, but he also does a lot of treating through food or vitamins, right? Is that kind of your mentality or theories?
Well,
Like,
so I'm not a veterinarian, right? So
right.
I am just a nutritionist. So, but I'm also an herbalist, as I mentioned earlier. And so when I
Okay.
talk about herbs, I have been trained in Western herbs, which are going to be herbs that kind of are in my backyard in the United States. I am
Mhm,
very familiar with Eastern medicine.
mhm,
They call it traditional TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. There are
mhm.
certain herbs that, and I like, I hope this isn't too far over people's heads. I like what we call singular herbs. I like to know what each plant is and what those actions and properties are. And then what I can do is, if I can recommend different herbs that you can then make a blend. A lot of the holistic vets
Mhm.
recommend blends that are already formulated for certain
Mhm.
types of conditions, if they're damp, if they're dry, if they're whatever might be going on in their body. So
Okay, this is great. So
I
you're
deal with it a
saying,
little bit. I deal with it from a different perspective, but it is an adjunct therapy
okay.
that works with the vets.
So I think we were taught or explained something similar, what you're talking about, wet and dry,
It's energetics, basically.
energetic. I have it. I have it
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. There you go. Food
Oh my
energetics.
goodness.
Yes.
Okay. So
What
this
is that? What is that
okay.
for people who don't know? Tell us so they
This
can find
is
it.
so cool to me. And I was a little skeptical going in, but I have to say, this is what we use 5 years later to figure out what we can and should not feed Jovi, our dog. So there is, after he was diagnosed, he has allergies, right? To chicken and all of that. We found out that we needed to feed him. This chart is, it's cold, it's hot, and then it's neutral foods. So
And they also have warm. Yeah, there's 5
oh, okay.
technically.
Oh, well, right. Okay, sorry. This says hot/warm. So basically, to keep it simple for me, there's 3 different colors in this chart. We only feed him from the cool version because based on his composition, he reacts poorly to the foods that fall under the hot stuff.
Is this based on, so let me ask you, because I think this is a good question for people to understand. Is this based on breed, either Valerie or Johnna, or is this based on that individual animal?
Every animal is an individual, and so there's no blanket answer for any animal. So I'm not a breedist. I'm not one of those people that thinks every Dalmatian has the same problems or every golden doodle has the same problems. I want to look at the animal in front of me and find out what's going on with
So
them.
what testing should I get? So if I had an animal, a dog, a cat, what should how do we diagnose this stuff?
So technically, blood serology tests are not accurate for foodborne allergens. They're only accurate for environmental allergens. So one of the best ways to determine a food allergy is by a food elimination diet. That's the standard traditional 100%. You'll find out very quickly. And what you do is you basically take everything out except for, 2 or 3 items. And then you add back in over time. And then if something comes up and they start itching or they start having whatever licking or whatever what their body manifests, then you can identify that's one of the items that causes issues.
So thank you. So like is it not, and I know this is in humans as well, like it's I don't want to make it down like it's one basic thing, but it's inflammation is the issue, is it not? Like, and the
Well,
inflammation.
it's an immunity response,
Right,
right?
so we're
Like a
responding,
histamine
but
response,
because
right?
like the body is feeling attacked and it's like, I got to go get rid of this, whatever this thing is, this
Yeah,
foreign.
it's an immune mediated response. So with humans, they can actually do skin scrapings, and that's how they can test food. Can't really do that with animals. So I know there are new tests that have come out where they can do, they can take, samples of hair and kind of do that. I am not that familiar with that science. And I really can tell you that I'm going to say this, and this is kind of going to go against a lot of what people have already heard. A lot of times it's the quality of the ingredients, not necessarily the ingredient itself, that is causing an allergic response. And so I'm not talking, Valerie, about you and Jovi, but I have a lot of people that come to me saying, my dog's allergic to chicken. And I say, okay, have you ever given your dog chicken that you've, cooked with no butter or no salt, that you just threw on the grill? And they're like, oh yeah, we do it all the time. I'm like, do you ever see these responses? And it's like, no, it's just from the food. And so you have to start kind of breaking down, is it the quality of the ingredients going into their body or not? So I'm not trying to oversimplify, because there are many dogs that cannot have chicken. There are many dogs that cannot have beef. But there
And just
are,
to be clear, an animal, just like a human, can develop an allergy at any point in time in life, right?
absolutely.
Okay.
And so it's really about, again, just analyzing the symptoms and the signs and kind of doing that elimination diet to really kind of check all the boxes and then add back in. But quality of ingredients is huge.
Okay, I totally get that. Things like, I mean, same with us. Like, we don't want to eat the hormone and the hormone infused and
talking about commercial food, commercial dog food, commercial cat food, they're allowed to use different types of meat that are not fit for human consumption. So even though they come out of a USDA facility and it says that it comes from a USDA facility, it could be that portion of the animal that we cannot eat as humans because it's not deemed fit for consumption, and it can go into dog food. So when I say quality, just because something says on the label it's from a USDA facility, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I have my own issues with the USDA for so many other reasons. But as it pertains to your work, like, and I know we touched on this before we jumped in, but like, what is a typical customer or client, when you said when they get to you, you're normally their last resort, right?
Yeah, which I'm totally okay with. You know what I mean? Most people don't want to be the last, but I'm actually excited that I'm the last ditch effort, because then they're more open to listening to what I have to say. Now, depending on how long the issue has been going on, obviously, if it's a newer symptom or a newer situation, and they've tried with all of the vets or all of whatever they've done online, whatever it may be, and then they come to me, you're going to see a faster response than an animal that has been dealing with sickness for years, right? The body can only heal so quickly. And they usually say that the body heals as quickly, or I should say, it takes as long for the body to heal as it did for the condition to occur. So if you've had a dog for 5 years, you won't see the ultimate body response until approximately 5 years later.
However, they're feeling better though, right?
You'll see steps getting better like instantly. But I'm talking about, like, if they have yeasty staining, if like the redness on their eyes and their paws, like those things take a little bit more time. I mean, in essence, it takes 180 days for a food to really get out of every cell of the body. So when you think about that, you'll see improvement right away, but it takes time for the body to heal.
Is that similar with us too? Like same kind of thing, like 6 months? Wow.
Yes, which is why in the human world, you hear people say, don't give up on things because you haven't seen a response in 2 weeks. You do need, if you're not, I always tell people, if you see that they're not feeling worse and they're feeling slightly better, is it that they have a little bit more energy? Is it that their eyes are looking a little bit brighter? Is it that they're wagging their tail more? Those are the signs that you start to look for, because they're feeling better. And then the body just, will take the time to respond accordingly.
Amazing. It is amazing when you start to see the results. And I am speaking again from our experience, but I love this so much. I can't wait. I know we have to go to break, but I can't wait. I have so many more questions. So we're definitely
I'll
gonna
try to be more succinct. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. You're fantastic. It's my mind that's like, you know what I mean? Tommy knows what I'm talking about.
I'd like to try being me, Val. You think it's fun hanging out with me? Try being inside my head. You know it. You know it. So we'll be right back. This is Professionals and Animal Lovers Show. Be right back.
Howdy, I am Joseph Franklin McElroy, host of the new podcast, Gateway to the Smokies. It airs on talkradio.nyc every Tuesday night from 6 p.m. to 7. Every episode is dedicated to memorable experiences in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and surrounding areas. This show features experts and locals who will expound upon the richness of culture, history, and adventure that awaits you in the Smokies. Tune in every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 7 on talkradio.nyc.
Are you passionate about the conversation around racism? Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. TLC, host of the Dismantle Racism Show, which airs every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc. Join me and my amazing guests as we discuss ways to uncover, dismantle, and eradicate racism. That's Thursdays at 11 o'clock a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a small business trying to navigate the COVID-19 related employment laws? Hello, I'm Eric Sauver, employment law business law attorney and host of the new radio show, Employment Law Today. On my show, we'll have guests to discuss the common employment law challenges business owners are facing during these trying times. Tune in on Tuesday evenings from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc, now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
All right, we are back at the Professionals and Animal Lovers Show. I should really tell everyone that this is our last show of the year. It's flew right by. I can't even believe that this is like our 16th episode, I believe. But anyway, we're gonna jump in the new year, rubber hitting the road. If you're interested in being a guest on our show, please reach out to myself or Tommy D. And I would just want to remind you, I don't care what you do for work. You don't have to be in the pet industry to be a guest on the show. If you've been watching us, you would recall we've had, a lawyer. We've had a guy who sells coffee and donates a percentage to rescues. We had our first guest, Reno DiMaria, who owns a pizzeria in Roslyn, New York. And I met him at an anti-puppy mill protest. So all walks of life are welcome. It's really just about highlighting people who are doing great things for the animals. So we'd love to have you on if you fit that description. If you don't, then you cannot come on the show. Kind of like you, Johnna, like there's certain ingredients you don't want in your store, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I don't want to take away too much time. I want you to continue to obviously tell your story, but I'm just curious, like if someone's interested in becoming a pet nutritionist, like where do you go for that? How long did it take? Is it expensive? All that fun stuff.
So there's various ways you can go about learning more. There are a lot of schools that have now popped up around the country that are teaching it. I would recommend that you do research before you start taking a class. So dogs are in the class of known as carnivorous. So they are carnivores. There are some schools that have been popping up that are teaching people that they're omnivores, which is just wildly wrong and against science. And it would lead you down a wrong path.
Wait a minute. Okay. Hold on. So you're saying dogs should not eat vegetables?
I'm saying that dogs have no nutritional need for carbohydrates. So cats, I mean, they don't, they can, if we break down the cell walls of vegetables and fruits, they
Mhm.
can consume them and get nutritional value out of them.
Mhm.
But they don't have there's many things that we can go into, but they don't have the amylase enzyme in their mouth, which is the beginning of the digestion process. So they can't break down the cell walls of the fruits and vegetables, which is why you either put them in a food processor to break them down, or you want to steam them to break down the cell walls. When you give your dog a carrot,
Mhm.
just as is, you'll notice that it comes out the end the exact same way.
Oh
There's
my
a
God,
reason
it
for
really does. You're blowing my
Yes.
mind again.
There's a
because
reason for that. But if you put it
we
in a
give-
food processor and you
Right.
puree it up, because I'm a big fan of raw. So I personally prepare my dog's food raw, whether you feed home cooked, whether you feed kibble. If you're going to be giving your dogs fruits or vegetables, I say give it to them raw, depending on the types of vegetables, by breaking it down through a food processor, because you're getting more nutritional value out of something that hasn't been processed, right? So
I just
like in
learned something
humans,
right there. That is huge.
Yep.
Because we do that. We don't do that. We do incorporate vegetables. Normally it's sauteed. I basically will take ground meats, usually turkey. We cook it, which now I wanted to ask you about raw diets anyway, but we cook it just, no seasoning in a pan. And then the juices, we scoop out the ground meat and then put in the vegetables. Usually it's like a bag of frozen vegetables that we get from like Costco.
Yep.
I make sure that those vegetables are in compliance with like the chart that we follow. But that said, I guess it's kind of steaming them or
you're sauteing them. So when you're cooking, you're breaking down the cell walls. It's just like with humans. The more food, the more that you cook a food, the more nutrient loss you have. Right. So it's more about retaining the nutritional value of the food that you're giving them.
I have to ask you this too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but so this is kind of a controversial sticking point. I don't want to, upset anyone. I have my own feelings on it, but I do know some people, through the animal advocacy world, you meet so many people and everyone has different levels of their version of advocacy, right? So I do know some people who are vegan and they are feeding their dogs a vegan diet. I'm interested in knowing how you feel about that.
So humans are omnivores and dogs are carnivores. And what we need to do as humans is not project our own dietary desires onto animals that require animal protein and meat to be as healthy as possible. I hate to say this, but I have to say this. A lot of dogs that come to me very, very, very sick are those that have been on vegetarian diets for 3 or 4 years. The organs in the canine body are not designed to be utilizing protein that is plant-based. And even though there are foods that can make a complete and balanced food through a variety of plant proteins, because dogs need to have all of the amino acids, that the essential amino acids at the same time. Otherwise, the body doesn't process. I won't get into the science of it, but they need all of them all at the same time. So even though you can have a vegetarian food that kind of patchworks all of the amino acids together, it's still coming from a different source, and the body just isn't designed to use plant-based products that way.
I just feel kind of, maybe I'm a simpleton on this, but I kind of feel like nature is nature, and like a great white shark is never going to go vegan. You know what I mean? Like you can try to feed it lettuce all the time or whatever, but I kind of feel like you don't mess with nature. But I agree with you, and I think it's important to allow you have the choice as a human. You have the choice of what you're consuming. Your pets don't really have that choice.
There have been so many studies done in nature that when you leave dogs to their own devices, they will always gravitate towards fat and protein. Always. They do not gravitate towards carbohydrates. So basically, whether you can, Frankenstein some plant protein together to provide what's considered complete and balanced, it doesn't mean that it's going to give you a thriving pet. It means that you're meeting basic needs. And I can tell you that I want to exceed basic needs, and I want my pets to have an optimal life with optimal nutrition and live as long as possible. So that's a difference, but it's everyone's choice. And I'm not going to judge someone for doing it. I would just say, please do more research and maybe, you know, get a rabbit if you want.
Lots of cats.
Not to be rude, but seriously, it's something to consider.
They need what they need, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about raw diet, because I'm very interested in that. I have been for some time, although I haven't done a lot of homework on it. I just saw, and I'm going to reach out to them to be a guest, but I just saw that there's a couple of new retail stores that opened up where Tommy is in Long Island, New York. And that's what they offer. They offer raw diet meals and treats and all of that. I'm super. So what do you see? You're a fan of it. You said, what do you see it being the ultimate benefit?
I mean, it's in line with how how canines were designed to eat and how their bodies were designed to consume food, right? That's it in a nutshell.
Okay. So it almost goes against like the human intuition of, ew, I can't eat raw turkey. Like, that's disgusting.
Well, but we can't. But we as humans can't, right?
Right.
The canine body is designed differently. They're carnivores. They have a stomach pH of between 1.5 to 2.0 when there's food in it, which is the equivalent of car battery acid. So the people that say they can't handle the bacteria, well, potentially if there's pathogenic bacteria, their stomach acid is going to completely neutralize that. Raw, however, is not right for every dog. We always have to go back to the idea that every dog is an individual.
Right.
If you have a dog that is on a lot of medication, for instance, for whatever reason, feeding them a raw diet may not be the best thing for them, because all of those medications are going to create a more alkaline environment in their stomach. And that alkaline environment isn't going to allow that body to destroy the pathogenic bacteria in the stomach acids as it would if it was more acidic, right? As it naturally was. So a dog that is on a lot of medication, we'd lean more into making certain you have a complete and balanced home cooked diet if you wanted to have, something at the upper echelon of what you could feed them. But I say complete and balanced because it is really important. I have a little science lab in my kitchen, and it's not hard to home cook or to prepare raw food. It just takes discipline, and it takes, to study and make certain you're adding everything. Most people, when they are preparing food for their dogs on their own, fail to include calcium, which is one of the most important minerals. The ratio of calcium to phosphorus is the most important ratio in the canine body. And a lot of people, so calcium comes from bone, right? A lot of people aren't giving bone. So you can get it through seaweed calcium. You can get it through food grade bone meal. You can get it through eggshells. There's a few different ways that you can get it. Each one of the ones that I just mentioned have different benefits versus potential disadvantages. You just have to know what you're doing. And when you know what you're doing, then your dog will benefit. And if you don't know what you're doing, there are some amazing brands that have come up onto the market that are commercial raw food, commercial lightly cooked food that you can use in place if you're just not confident in your own skill set.
I feel like my world is about to get easier, because this is one of the, how like when you're in a relationship and you're always negotiating, like, okay, I'll do the dishes if you walk the dog, or like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So food, the food is always kind of like, because it's a big undertaking. The way we do it, we'll cook a whole big batch and then freeze it. We'll have like a week and a half's worth of food in the freezer. That said, if we don't have to cook anymore, yay, it just got that much easier. Before we do,
let me just say that, I really love making my dog's food. I love the fact that I know that I'm buying the organic, because I add cranberries to their diet. Cranberries are really high in vitamin C. They're high in proanthocyanin. So there are things that I can add to their diet that they're not going to get from a commercial diet. I also know the quality of the meat that I'm using, the quality of the bone, and I'm putting my love into their food, right?
Yes,
and I'm sorry, but there's just that extra layer. There's just an extra layer.
Right.
I don't cook for myself.
Oh, I
Or
do.
my husband, but I make
cook for
food for my
everybody. I
dogs.
always say this is how I show my love, but we're gonna go to break, but when we come back, I want to also get into the bones. I want to, like, no bones about it. We need to talk about bones because it's a very big thing with dog owners and dog moms. So let's go to break, and then we're going to jump into bones when we get back.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Join us every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern for the Mind Behind Leadership, where we focus on what leadership really means to us and to others. We have practical discussions with the CEOs of some of the world's largest companies, owners of small businesses, and experts in psychology and behavior to get that inside track, what to do, what to avoid, and what really happens. Join me, Graham Dobbin, at the new time, 4 p.m. every Tuesday for the Mind Behind Leadership, here live on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the Nonprofit Sector Connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Calling all pet lovers.
Pet Avengers, assemble!
On the Professionals and Animal Lovers show, we believe the bond between animal lovers is incredibly strong. It mirrors that bond between pets and their owners. Through this program, we come together to learn, educate, and advocate.
Join us live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. at talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Okay, Johnna, we are back. And before I forget to mention this, I just want to let you know that I absolutely love the color of your hair, which
Thank you.
if you're listening on the podcast platforms, you can't see it, but trust me, it is beautiful. All right, so I'm learning so much. I just want to say thank you. And Tommy D just texted me and said, please make sure you thank Johnna. It's a super informative conversation.
Yeah.
And I really hope that all pet owners, dog owners, dog lovers, pet parents, will really, be more proactive, because you don't really want to be reactive. You don't want to see your animals suffering. You don't want to see them with the hot spots and, waking you up in the middle of the night because they have to go out to the bathroom because they can't hold it. There's a lot of bad stuff that can transpire when they're eating poorly. Okay, so bones.
Wait, I have a saying, and I'm just going to say this. I think it summarizes what you just said, and it's really important for people to remember. I'd rather invest in my pet's wellness than in their sickness. And so that is being proactive, right? And that you do that through food. You do that through supplementation when necessary. But yeah, so bones. Let's talk about
100%, 100%, and us too. But again, like, they don't have the choice in what's in their bowl. So. Right. All right, my husband and I go out for dinner and he gets a big fat ribeye with a bone. Do we bring the bone back and give it to our dog, or is that a big no-no?
Never, ever, 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 never offer a cooked bone to a dog, ever.
Wow.
Ever. So when you cook a bone, you are basically getting all of the moisture is evaporating. And so you end up creating a very brittle bone, and the body doesn't break it down the same way. And so there's a potential for, and I say potential, for intestinal perforation. And so you just want to be mindful of that. So if you're going to offer bones, you're always
horrible pet parents. Wait till my husband hears this. It's like his favorite thing to do. I mean, we don't.
Well, then get them raw. You can get a raw
that's
bone,
what we're gonna
right?
do. But you just blew my mind.
If you go get a T-bone steak, you could actually, I know this kind of ruins the steak for the human, but it would be what I would do. Take the meat off the bone, then put it on the grill and give the raw bone to the dog. But Yeah, never, ever, ever.
That's good to know.
feed a cooked
That's so
bone.
good to know. I was talking to someone else a few years ago. She was manufacturing her own line of dog treats. But anyway, she's a huge advocate for the raw dieting also. But she told me that to do a bone broth, like take a bone, put it in the crock pot, and then you get
Well,
like,
you could do that. So that's different, right? So
oh, okay.
you could take the bone home from the restaurant, though you're going to have some nutrient loss, but you could take those bones. I actually have a bone broth recipe that was picked up in Dogster magazine because it's a really amazing, not to toot my own horn, it's a really amazing bone broth recipe. But you can collect bones and then put them in a crock pot and do a slow cook. You need, water to cover the bones. You add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. I also like a little tiny bit of white vinegar, just help extract the nutrients because they're rich, full of chondroitin and glucosamine and other musculoskeletal support minerals. And so you basically let that cook. I also add turmeric and black pepper just because they're very highly anti-inflammatory.
I need this recipe. I can tell you right now. And my mind just personally was just blown away because, like once a year, it's kind of like our thing. And of course, our dog loves it, but now I need to switch gears here.
Yeah, and you get a few bones, and you can actually, depending on the type of raw bone you get your dog, what I always tell people is the bones that dogs should be consuming are those that are non-weight bearing. So you're looking at ribs, knees, necks, femur bones, which are a lot of the marrow bones. Those are weight bearing. So those would be great to chew on, but they shouldn't be consuming the whole thing. So let them snack on it and chew on it and get the oral health benefit out of it. And then I call them the dead bones, take the dead bones and put them in the freezer until you have enough that you can put them in a crock pot and make a nice batch of bone broth.
It's so good to know. How do you feel about CBD?
I think it's amazing if you get the right product. Yeah. There are a lot of products that are on the market. I'm not going to name one specific one, but it was already shown on my website. As an herbalist, I am very cognizant of the harvesting process, the growing process, the extraction process. And so you really want to make certain that you get a full plant, full spectrum, I should say whole plant, full spectrum CBD product. Those are going to work better because synergistically they're using all of the different phyto compounds and the cannabinoids in the plant, and they synergistically work together to lift the CBD, the CBDA, those types of things.
So wow. At what point in time, so here's the process, right? We got a dog. Well, actually Barry surprised me with him, but it was part of our plan. I was like, we're not moving in together unless I get a dog. Anyway, that's like our deal breaker. But anyway, so let's say someone is, I mean, this is the holiday season. A lot of people this is a very popular time to add, a fur baby to your family. And so let's say someone adopts a dog from a shelter, it's 2 years old. At what point in time do you think they should get evaluated or bring the dog to someone like you, like right away to figure out what they should be consuming?
So I always would recommend anytime you bring a new dog into the home, hopefully you've gotten them from a shelter and you've rescued them, give them 2 weeks to decompress before you change anything. Okay. Let them get used to their new environment. Don't change their food. Let them just kind of settle in. Once they've settled in, get them to a vet, have like a full health check, get that all together. And then, do anything and everything you can to make their bowl more healthy. Not everyone can afford raw food. Not everyone can afford to home cook. For those people that can only afford kibble, there are things that you can do, just to better their bowl, to make it more nutritious. And even if that's taking some cranberries or taking egg, taking cranberries and pureeing them up, or spirulina, or I don't know, wheatgrass, or you can take barley, or you can get a raw egg and put it on their food, just something that's going to provide whole food nutrition, vitamins and minerals is going to better their bowl and make them more healthy. But what I would encourage everyone to do before they get a dog is sit down and look at your budget. What do you have to spend? And then think about do you want to spend that amount of money at the vet because they're sick? Because let's be honest, most of us do not go to the vet for wellness visits. We're going to them for sick visits. And how can you maybe balance that or change it where you're skewing so the money's going towards better food, so you're minimizing those potential sick visits to the vet.
The vet visits,
Once you know what your budget is, then you can come to someone like me, or you can go to, there are a lot of independent pet retail stores that they may not be clinical pet nutritionists, but their livelihood is knowing about nutrition, and just go get some information. But do your research and kind of sit down and manage your expectations. It's not cheap to feed really, really well, but there are ways that you can feed that is beneficial to your dog that isn't going to break your bank at the same time.
It is incredible how much I've already learned today. And here I am, someone who I thought I was kind of on the up and up. You know, I got my little chart and I've got, you know, I've got my home cooking thing going on, but
you're doing great.
Thank you. You can always do better. And that's another part, is that I feel it's important to always strive to improve. So before I forget, because I can't believe this, but we're running out of time, I need to have you tell us how to find you, social media, website, however you want people to find you. How do we find you?
So you can find me at fetchri.com. I'm also the director of nutrition and wellness for P.A.L Labs. So if you want to go read some of my blogs, which has a lot of this information, you can go to PALLabs.com as well. And social media, it's the same, fetchri or P.A.L Labs.
Okay, that was fantastic. And holy shnikes, I can't believe this is almost over. All right, Tommy's gonna kill me if I don't say our closing quote. This is by, of course, the legend and the wonderful humanitarian Mahatma Gandhi. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way in which its animals are treated. Everyone, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of the show, whether you listen, whether you're a guest, whether you're just, you know, someone who listens to me ramble. I love you all. Happy holidays. And Johnna, thank you for everything that you do for the animals. You were a wonderful, spectacular guest.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. All right, everyone. Thank you again. It's a dream come true being on this show. Thank you, Sam Leibowitz, also on the other side of the glass. And to Tommy DeMisa, the best co-host of all time. All right, everybody, take care.